All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Your Platform Podcast. I'm here with my guest today, Mike Doherty, with Skytree Investment Company, or LLC.
Investments,
okay, cool. And then also the co-host of the Sky's the Limit podcast with your co-host, Ryan. Is it Dorsey?
DC.
Yep. Okay. Apologize for that. I came across Mike, and we were just chatting here a little bit through his podcast, and I was listening to him and Christos Provisilis, who I met last February. And when did you guys meet him?
Oh, man. I met Christos. I think he was speaking at an event, and then this is how. So a tenant in our office in Farmington does consulting and coaching, and they hired him to speak at an event in our building. And so I went and listened, and I was really empowered by him. And then we got to know him a little bit more outside of the coaching, and ended up having him on the podcast. Yeah. So, listen to his whole story. It's pretty incredible.
He's such a good dude, too. I actually just myself sat down with him, and I want to get him on the podcast because I think all the information that he has on, what you sell as a professional, insurance, real estate, whatever it is, people literally go into their lines of work, and I just sell insurance, but you don't. You sell a peace of mind, and you guys sell, as realtors, you guys sell, the happiness of someone closing on a home. So, Mike, thank you very much for joining me today. Yeah. I'm really excited from it. You were the first person I've ever reached out to that I never met and said, hey, will you come on my show? So again, I really appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
I want to talk about a couple of things. First thing, I didn't know you were from Waterford, Connecticut until yesterday. You went to Waterford High School?
I did, yeah.
I grew up in New London.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I grew up in New London. I graduated in 2007. Then I played baseball at Mitchell College, and I graduated in 2011. And when I came across it, I'm like, man, how do I not know the name? Because I know a lot of Waterford people. Did you do any sports, anything when you were there?
I did. So I graduated high school in 2011. Okay. So I'm 4 years younger than you. Yeah. I did baseball, basketball.
You did play baseball.
Not for high school, before that and outside of high school, but baseball, basketball, and golf, actually.
Oh, you played golf?
Yeah, golf. That was my spring sport, and when it wasn't cool back then.
Yeah.
You had to bring your clubs, drag your clubs throughout the hallway. Sure. So baseball and golf always conflicted the same season.
Right.
I just chose golf,
good
I
choice.
Still play.
Good choice. You still play. Are you a member anywhere?
Yeah, Wampanoag and West Hartford.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a nice track.
I started playing in 2020, and the rest is history. Yeah. It's a hard game. It's very hard.
Keeps you humble.
It definitely keeps you humble. I think my problem is when I go out to play and I'm having a really good round, I'm like, how can I get better? And then it goes the opposite direction. I think my handicap's like 23 or 24, but that's not what the show's about.
You play the rest of your life. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's right. And congratulations, newlywed, right? You got married.
Yeah.
How's that going?
Very good, very good. Yeah, no changes on the home front. Yeah. We were together for 9 years prior to pulling the trigger, but live in West Hartford with our dog Max, and nice. She loves real estate just as much, which makes it really easy.
Yeah, is she in the business with you as well?
No, she actually works for a company called Mimecast out of Boston. She's in HR, and she's in charge of the employee benefits. Sure. So works from home and goes in every once in a while. Yeah. But she has a 4-unit. Ryan and I wholesaled it to her way back when. She has her own condo. She's got a 4-unit, and then we actually just closed last week or 2 weeks ago 3 condos in New Britain.
Sweet.
Townhouse style condos. So now we have those together, and just kind of keep growing from there.
Yeah, awesome. Tell me about a little bit about the story of you first, and then we'll go into the partnership that you have with Ryan. Since coming across your show, I've listened to your show. I think you guys put out a really good product of a show.
Oh, appreciate it.
It's solid information. Someone like me who, I understand the real estate game from a little bit the perspective of the insurance and what needs to happen so people can close on the house and what the lenders need. But I don't really understand the decision-making process of how do you decide to go into a particular investment, that being a single family, multifamily. And I think you guys mentioned several times on the podcast that you guys have multi-use investments. One, at a young age, you jumped into this 7 years ago, around there?
Yeah, just about.
What in your mind what's going on in your mind? Because you mentioned, I think either on your pilot or one of your first few episodes, you mentioned Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, which I'm very fond of that book and understanding that. Why did you jump into the work that you decided to jump into?
Yeah, so I was working graduated UConn in 2015. Go Huskies.
Yeah, go Huskies.
And I got a really good job out of college working in finance in downtown Hartford on Pearl Street for a company called Virtus Investment Partners. And I was an internal wholesaler. So I got licensed in my 7 and 6, selling mutual funds to financial advisors, and really, really good gig out of college. And I wouldn't change a thing. But cubicle desk, 9 to 5, W-2 job with the, commission on the side. And, one day I just, I woke up and was like, I can't do this for 40 years.
Yeah.
I just, it's not me. Maybe I'm too antsy or I don't know. But, so I found Bigger Pockets, which is, have you ever heard of Big Pockets?
Yeah. The podcast, right?
So they have a podcast, but before the podcast got really big, they have and still have it's one of the largest real estate forums.
Sure.
So anytime you go into Google and type in a real estate question, landlord this, renter this, Section 8, evictions, Bigger Pockets will come up. And it's really just a plethora of information from anywhere from an experienced landlord, investor, to a first-time home buyer, to insurance agents, to lenders, to brokers. Everyone on there is just giving information. Sure. So I would just sit at my W-2 job when I had some free time, and I would just read, just educate. Bought a couple books through their platform. And then I started listening to the podcast and other people's podcasts. So I was just getting like a sponge, right? Just absorbing everything. And I learned about house hacking, which is, for the listeners, it's where you can buy a multifamily property, live in one unit, and rent out the others. Yeah. And it's a great way to diversify your portfolio from investment standpoint, or just save a lot of your W-2 income.
Sure. And
so I did that. In 2016, I was living with my buddies from college in West Hartford, and I said, I'm not going to renew this year, guys. I think I'm going to go out and buy a multifamily. So New Britain, Connecticut, I found a duplex off market. The guy had fully fixed it up, renovated it. I went and got an FHA loan, 3.5% down, which was like $6,500. I think it was like a $185,000 house. So this is 2016, 2017. Yeah. I moved into one unit. Rachel, my now wife, moved in with me then. And, I was coming at between the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. I was, and then I was getting probably $1,300 for the top floor. And my all in was, maybe $1,800. So I was living for $500, maybe less, and making pretty good coin working that job. Sure. So I was able to save, and then I bought another duplex, right? And then Rachel ended up buying a 3-family down the road. So then I moved into her unit. Right. We were house hacking her property, and then I was able to get cash flow now in my 2-family. So that kind of springboarded the rest of the portfolio. Yeah.
So you're at this point, so you graduated in 2015. You're probably 23 when you buy your first property, 22?
Yeah.
What was during that time, because I'll give you the reason why I'm asking. During that time, what were like the things that you didn't know then that you know now that you're like, I would have done this different?
Oh, man, good question. So one of the biggest things, everyone has a different starting point. What I know now, I would implement the BRRRR process, which is like the buy, renovate, rehab, refinance, repeat. Bigger Pockets kind of, I don't know if they coined that or where it came from, but it still lives today. And you can do it with a single family, a 2-family, 3-family, 20 unit, 150 unit complex. So that's what a lot of these guys that are syndicating are doing. They're just implementing the BRRRR model. Yeah. And so what it allows you to do is, I didn't come from money. I'm sure a lot of the listeners, don't come from money. And so when you put 20% down on your house, you're like, oh my God, how does someone get to 100 units? Like, I just bought a 2-family for $400,000, put $80,000 down. It's going to take me 4 years to save it for the next one. Well, the way to get around that, and what I know now, is if you buy something that is distressed, mismanaged, maybe has a little bit of equity, you got a good deal on it, you can raise the value of that property through management or through construction or, however you want. And then you go out and get a new loan, a new appraised value, and you can do a cash out refinance. The beauty about a cash out refinance is that it's tax free and you can recoup a lot of your original down payment. So I did that on my 3rd property. Yeah. So I bought that first one, FHA. That money's gone. It was turnkey. It was worth what I paid. Yeah. The second one, I was like, I put down the 20%, and then I had the epiphany. I was like, oh shit, I'm out of money. I'm out of money. I'm literally out of money. Now what? So I learned about the BRRRR model, and I bought a foreclosure in Middletown, Connecticut. I paid like 125 for it. I invested 50K into fixing it up, so I'll call it 175 all in. It appraised at 265, and I got a 75% loan to value cash out refinance. So my new loan from the new bank paid off my existing loan, and I put the difference in my pocket. So that's how you recoup your down payment and scale and keep going and going and going.
One of the things I love about, we just met today and for the last 10 minutes, but listening to your guys' show, you had this moment with, I don't remember what property it was, maybe that first or second property, where you're like, wait a minute, I just made this amount of money in X amount of time, and you got hooked. You said that was the time that you got hooked. What's your background like as a, maybe before going into investment and before going into working? I'm assuming that where you worked was at the Gold Building, and because that's where I was. I was on the second floor. But before going into college, what did you know what you wanted to do? Especially hearing that you didn't come from money. I also didn't come from money, and it's very easy to be like, I want to do this, I want to do that. You kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
What was it that Mike wanted to do before that?
Oh man, I really like people, and I went to school for consumer behavior, which is an individualized major.
Sure.
You kind of created. It's a lot of psychology and marketing. I really loved to study like why people do things.
Yeah.
And so I went to school for that. I always liked real estate. I'd always go, on the weekends you go to open houses just to go check it out. So I do that with my mom. She actually went to Mitchell College as well. Yep. Oh, yeah. And my dad works down the road for Yankee Remodeler down in New London. Okay. So he has a construction background. Sweet. My mom was a school teacher.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have one younger sister, Anna, lives in Mystic, Connecticut, so still down there. Always liked the idea of real estate, but it really wasn't until college I kind of was like, oh, okay, like I could see a career in real estate. I just don't know what. I mean, you could be an inspector, you could be an appraiser, you could be an investor, you could be a passive investor. But I think it was really hating my W-2 job that kind of forced me to get licensed. Yeah. And I did them both at the same time. Yeah. I was brokering for other clients and also working that W-2 job. And I'm very thankful for it. I really want to emphasize that.
Of course.
It allowed me the financial stability to take that leap. So when COVID happened, I remember being in the Gold Building, running out of the office, taking calls to either go on inspections, talk to appraisers, talk to clients, buyer consults, and calling out of work to go on these things too. And I would actually leave on my lunch break to go mow my lawn in the Manchester duplex.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
It was fun. I hustled, but I really, in 2022, when everyone got sent to work from home, I was really able to expand that real estate agent business because I could take those calls from home now.
Yeah.
And then that's when I gave my 2 weeks.
I always like to ask people because that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of work ethic. Where's that come from? Because not a lot of people, especially so young, have that desire to say, all right, you know what? I have this pretty solid job out of college, but I'm also wanting more. Where's that wanting more come from?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I mean, growing up, we weren't like poor by any means, and hats off to my mom and dad. They did everything they could to support us, and we had a great childhood. But I guess always, everyone always wants more. Yeah. But for me, I think what really triggered it was sitting in front of my cubicles, the 2 double screens, the standing desk. I was like, this just isn't for me. It just isn't. And I like the financial flexibility because if I quit, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But I think in a fully commissioned job like real estate investing or a real estate agent, you eat what you kill, but the sky's the limit. Right. You're always capped at a W-2 job, whether you put, and I'm literally sitting at home today with my wife, Rachel, and she's grinding for this company. Yeah. And I'm like, if you put half that energy into own your own business, you'd be a bajillionaire. Yeah, right. But it's just that it's an uncomfortable feeling. It is an uncomfortable feeling. So, I mean, you start your own agency, you get it. I mean, yes, it's that work W-2 life environment, but you're building something of your own. Yeah, and absolutely. So that's everything.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about your investment. Actually, I want to ask first about your relationship with your co-host and managing partner. How'd that come apart?
Oh, yeah. So going back to that first duplex in New Britain, I bought on Wilcox Street. Okay. Pretty shitty area of New Britain, honestly. But hey, we lived there for 3 or 4 years, saved up. And I was at that W-2 job, bored at work, searching on LinkedIn, and I came across Wilcox Street Partners, LLC on LinkedIn. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it said he went to Central Connecticut State University, but he lives in Texas. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey, what are the chances you own on Wilcox Street? He goes, yeah, I own 152 Wilcox Street. I'm like, dude, no way, in New Britain? So I told him, I'm like, oh, I'm on 146 Wilcox, 142 Wilcox Street. He's like, oh, yeah, I bought that. You know, I rented by the room there. I still own it. I live in Texas now with my girlfriend. But, you know, I come home. All my family's home. So I was like, dude, next time you come home, let's catch up. I'd love to meet you. And, you know, maybe we could do something together. So that happened. We met up, saw some of his multis. Another year or two went by. He ended up moving back home. That relationship didn't work out. He's now with his now wife who we met here. And we both ran out of money. We're like, okay, I have a couple properties now. He had a couple properties. And we identified a 4-unit in New Britain, not far from where we own. And it was a wholesale deal. And, you know.
Help me understand a little bit on that.
Wholesaling is when someone puts a property under. So let's say you have a single family you want to sell to me. Like, hey, Mike, I'll sell this to you for $100,000. And me, knowing the market, the industry, I'm like, wow, you know, that's probably worth really $170,000. There's some good equity there. But hey, I'll put it under contract for $100,000. And what I do is I assign my rights to that contract to an end buyer for $140,000. That's still a great deal for the end buyer. They're like, oh man, I got $30,000 equity. Sign me up. I make the spread of $40,000. So wholesaling is a real thing. But we were approached by a wholesaler. They had a 4-family for like $250,000. And Ryan and I were like, damn, that's a really good deal. How do we afford this? So we pooled our money. We raised a lot of the capital. And that was our first one. From there, we did what's called a 1031 exchange. We sold that and went into a seller finance deal. Only had to put down like 10%. And from there, we've just done everything. So we've done everything ever since. But he still has his portfolio. I have my portfolio. Together, we have a lot. But, you know, he'll buy deals that I'll turn down, and I'll buy deals that he turns down. So it works out pretty well.
And you guys started the podcast and kind of with the aspirations of, you know, we have a lot of collective knowledge between the two of us. Let's start this podcast to share it and just kind of share this stuff.
Share it on a greater platform. You know, reach more homes.
No, I really love what you guys are doing on this show. So I was asking some of these guys, I say, listen, I got this young guy. His name is Mike. He's coming in. He's a real estate investor. What are some of the questions that you guys are interested in? And I have some of my own as well. But one of the ones that came up was what goes into your decision-making process in any particular investment, that being a single, multi-use or multifamily, that, you know, what factors go into it, location, and then I have some follow-up questions from that.
Yeah. So everyone is different. Everyone's risk tolerance is different. You could buy something what's called like a triple net lease building, which is your McDonald's, your Starbucks, your Chipotle's, your gas stations, convenience stores, doctor's offices, kind of standalone buildings. And there's no management involved. The tenant pays for everything. Very little to do as a landlord, but you're going to have a low return, risk reward, right? Multifamily, you could buy Glastonbury, beautiful brand new construction A-class multifamily. You could buy East Hartford, maybe B- multifamily. You could buy New Britain, which is arguably C-class multifamily. Risk reward. So for me, I like the middle ground because in a recession, A-class is always the first to go, right? If you're renting to someone who's making $120,000, they lose their job. Well, maybe they go down to B-class, but you don't really ever see, at least in my experience, someone in a C-class rental that's $1,200 a month, $1,000 a month, going down to a $500 or $600 a month rental. It just you don't see it as much. So for me, multifamily, B-, C+ class is the sweet spot. We've dabbled in a lot of other asset classes, and I've regretted it. We own an Airbnb down in Fairfield. that's the hospitality business. That's different than a rental business.
Yes.
Totally different. We have the C-class multis. We have 40,000 square foot mixed use on Main Street in Middletown. And we were always under the impression, I say we, me, Ryan and I, were always under the impression that going bigger was sexier, was better, was what everyone needs to do, wants to do. And that's, to us, a misnomer. Like I'm a big believer that a 2, 3, 4 unit can cash flow just as much as a 40,000 square foot. We've had some crazy huge expenses in that 40,000 square foot building you would never even think about in a 2-family. $17,000 elevator closure bill from Otis Elevator. I'm like, what is this for? It just eats into your bottom line, and I could have never underwritten that.
Right.
So I sleep a lot better at night, just staying in my lane. The multifamily, 2 to 4 units. I still would go 10, 12, 20 units, but I generally like to stay in Connecticut. I like to feel, touch, and be able to drive to my asset.
Sure.
A lot of people are very good at out-of-state investing. Kudos to them. I maybe am like a control freak. I can't do it. So a lot of different things that go into it. But for me, it's being comfortable in one asset class. And really, really, there's an expression like go 100 miles deep versus 100 miles wide. We started to go 100 miles wide where we were dabbling in Airbnb. We were going to mixed use. We were doing triple net. Like I own a condo in Windsor Locks. Trinity Health is my tenant. That's been pretty good so far. I would do another one of those, but multifamily is my bread and butter.
When with like how things are changing, which we'll learn a lot in the next probably day or two, hopefully, on what happens economically and whatnot. When it comes to like your first house, you went FHA. Are you guys looking at interest rates as well to determine like, hey, what can we afford? What should we buy when it comes down to that? Or is that just kind of like you guys have a strategy of we're going to buy this and whatever happens? Like, what's the end game, I guess, when you look at this particular asset? Do you hold it? Do you, sell it after 5 years? When do you guys look at things to just start shedding or just continue to hang on to them?
So a lot of the assets we're buying are value-add assets, and we're getting bridge loan financing. Another word is hard money financing. These are short-term, 12-month loans that you're paying 10 to 12% interest. And I could go to a company like RCN, or I could go to Sachem Capital. These are like, these bridge loan companies. And I could pay 12%, but you're never, despite where rates go, you're never really paying more than that. You will be paying points though, and those aren't going away.
Right,
so a point is 1% of the loan balance. Right. So if you're buying $1 million property, you're putting sometimes 10, 15% down, depending on your experience, sometimes 20. So let's call it $200,000 down. You have an $800,000 loan balance. You're paying 2 points on $800,000. That's $16,000 in points. Goes away, doesn't go towards anything.
Wow.
Thank you for your money. Thank you for doing business. Hopefully you do well. Right. So to answer your question, despite where rates go, those are the type of loans that we're getting, and they don't really change because we're getting out of them so quickly.
Got it.
When we refinance, we will go into a 30-year fixed product where we're more concerned about the rates. But hey, listen, like, despite macroeconomics, despite the election, despite the volatility in the market you're going to see, it's never a bad time to own good dirt.
I love that, man. And that's kind of like, I've understood the financial markets a little bit more over the last probably 4 to 8 years, just doing my own research. And a lot of people don't invest because they're waiting for like certain things to happen, that being the election, if this person wins, if that person wins. So I'm glad you answered that question. Like, hey, basically just do something and you'll see something if you do it the right way.
People use that as a crutch and an excuse because they're scared to get involved. Listen, you can make money if rates went up to 8 to 9%.
Right.
There's still ways to make money. People will sit on the sidelines for the next 20 years and then look back, oh man, that house would be paid off by now.
Dude.
Come on, what are you doing? Like that. trust me, in the agent business, I work with a lot of investors, and I hear that nonstop. And I'll never pressure anyone to buy it. I'm just saying, listen, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too.
Sure.
I am preaching to the choir, but I'm also doing it.
Right.
So knock on wood, haven't had any, bad stories yet, but it's not for everyone though.
Right.
Some people would rather be an LP in a deal. So just, give their, $50,000 and get 10% return over the next couple years and keep doing their thing. People love their day job and they don't want to give it up. And because despite what many say, real estate investing, if you're managing your own properties, is not passive. It is not passive.
Right.
You can make it more passive by hiring a property manager. And that'll cost you, 8 to 10% of the gross rents. But you still got to manage the manager.
Yeah.
So it does require some hours per week.
It's impressive to just see here. I mean, again, you're not that much younger than me. You're 30, 31?
31, yeah.
31,
yeah.
But it just how fast, I mean, 7 years is not that long ago. And how fast it was able to kind of snowball into what seems to be a well-oiled machine with what you guys have going on. You have a team, and talk to me a little bit about how that operation works, because now you got you and Ryan as the managing partners, and then you have some sales executives. I think we got 6 employees.
Oh man, I gotta add it up. It's not like this all happened in the last year.
Okay. Yeah,
so Ryan and I we did the managing, we did the bookkeeping, we did, he's a lender, so he always did the loans for us. I am the agent, so I always did the purchases and sales. We've had a property manager, so we manage some properties ourselves. We have a property manager in some properties. We're now at the point where we want to scale, so we want to bring management in-house. So he started to work on that. But right now we have a bookkeeper.
Nice.
We have a full-time marketing specialist, transaction coordinator, Jenna. She actually lives here in Glastonbury. She is also an agent, so she helps prepare offers and do a lot of the coordinating between the attorneys. And she's a rock star. We'd be lost without her. We have an executive assistant in the Philippines, Judith.
Oh, wow.
She's been with us for 4 years now.
In the Philippines?
Yeah.
You guys have investments there?
Not investments. She is a virtual assistant.
Got it. Cool.
And she's awesome.
Yeah.
She helps us with a lot of the daily tasks. And then Ryan just hired a lender under him. He has his brother helping with property management. And then I have 3 agents with me. I have Mike Singapore, Marie Thomas, and Rich Santana. So they just came on board this year, actually. Mike's been with me a couple of years. But and what's cool is we have an office in Farmington. Ryan and I bought the building, and we, instead of house hacking, we're office hacking.
Oh.
So it'd be like buying this building.
And then renting out
and then
spaces.
you put Comparion under an LLC, which I'm sure it is, and then paying yourself, the landlord, rent every month.
Yeah.
So we have Skytree Investments renting office space from D&D Terryville, which owns the building. So we're office hacking.
That's very smart.
Yeah. So we're all in the same room together. Yeah. We were, especially during COVID, Ryan and I were never together.
Yeah.
And I found myself constantly on the phone and texting him. I'm like, Ryan, we got to be in the same room together. So we got the office, and then it slowly started growing from there.
I love that. Someone like me who, I'm a W-2 employee. I've been doing this for now 10 years. I'm going on my 10th year here in April.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a journey. I'll tell you that. Insurance market is crazy. But someone like me, I've bought my first house in 2016. My wife and I bought, our girlfriend then, but we bought our first house. We sold it in 2020 when we saw what was happening with the market. And then we decided to buy what we think is going to be our forever home, because, we had our son, and now, we had the second edition. Now we're about to have our third kid here in about 6 months.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Going back to what I had mentioned earlier, people are afraid a little bit to jump into certain things, mainly investments, because lack of confidence, lack of knowledge, or like what you said, just really might not want it enough to do it. I always find myself like, man, what do I get into? And a lot of it is just that push or taking focused action to do it. Can someone like me, who again you mentioned, like I too want the financial freedom. I don't know if it's going to happen at a W-2 capacity. Someone like me with X amount, and let me just make sure I state this too. This is not for financial advice for anyone who's listening. This is just for opinion based, we should say, right? But someone like me who have my house, I have my mortgage, you have a little bit of debt, nothing crazy. Is it attainable to get into real estate investing at 35 and kind of see that same success that, you had at such an early age? Like, is the gap in time of having, having these expenses? I guess I'm asking, what could I look forward to maybe getting into something like that down the road?
So you and I'm sure 90% of your listeners are similar in that category, and there is absolutely zero reason why you can't get started now. Zero reason. Think about it. You're 35.
Yeah.
So if you saved up, so there's a couple ways you could do it. You could save up for a more turnkey investment. I would advise to go the multifamily route versus something like a mixed use. Insurance rates are higher in mixed use. It's harder to sell if you ended up wanting to exit.
It's harder to insure.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Multifamily, someone always needs a roof over their head, no matter what's going on in the world.
Right.
And depending on where you're buying, make sure it's not too rural. Anywhere in Hartford County, you'd be fine. It's close to your home, and you could check on it. You could buy something just a little bit more distressed. I don't know if you're handy or not, but you can always hire out.
Yeah, I heard on your show, you can go to YouTube for 4 hours, but you'd rather pay somebody else.
Yeah, Who Not How. This is also a great book.
Yeah, Who Not How.
Who Not How. Yeah, okay. Yep, great book. Which is just leverage your network. And so you could in theory find a distressed property and get a hard money loan. And put down 20%. And if you bought something turnkey, you're not getting that 20% back.
Right.
So again, if you wanted to grow, if you just wanted 1, 2, 3 rentals, maybe like get one per kid, right? And then when they go to college, you sell them off and there's your college instead of investing in a 529 plan.
Wow. Right.
So every time we hopefully will have kids.
Yeah.
Every time I have a kid, I'm going to buy another rental.
That's amazing.
And then in 20 years, I'll put a 20-year note on it.
Yeah.
In 20 years, the thing will be paid off.
That's amazing.
And hopefully, one, I get the tax write-offs. I get tax write-offs. I get the appreciation, and the tenants are paying my mortgage. So as long as I'm not coming out of pocket to afford this thing, which maybe it'll cash flow a little bit, even if I break even, it's going towards something larger. So my point being, in your case, maybe work on saving up. Again, define your goal.
Sure.
If you want, 10 properties, I would go with that BRRRR method. I would find something distressed. I would get your contractors in line. I'd get quotes on it. I'd make an offer, and it's a very simple formula. And it goes for any property. Commercial, multifamily, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Start with your ARV, which is your after repair value. What is this thing worth when I'm all done fixing it up?
Yeah.
Whatever number that is, multiply it by 0.75%. If you want to be super conservative, 0.7%. That's basically your profit margin. And then once you get that number, so let's do $100,000. That's what it's worth all fixed up. $100,000 times 0.75 is $75,000. Then subtract out the renovation costs.
Right.
If it's going to cost $25,000 to get it to be worth $100,000, okay, $75,000 minus my $25,000 means $50,000 is my maximum allowable offer. If you offer $50,000, you put $25,000 into it, and it's worth $100,000, you'll be able to recoup your money.
And I don't have to have a real estate license to do this, no. So I can just do this as a.
If it's an on-market property, have an agent go make an offer for you. This is what's so crazy, and people, it's such, it's crazy because. It is completely free to go talk to an agent. It's completely free to go look at a house. It's completely free to go make an offer. It's completely free to get your offer accepted.
Yeah.
As soon as your offer is accepted, then you have to make the decision, do I really want this?
Right.
If so, okay, let me put my deposit down.
Right.
Even then, put your deposit down. You get an inspection contingency.
Right.
You can still pull out anytime, risk-free.
Right.
So you can literally get this house under contract, figure out if you really want it, and spend the next 10 days deciding and get your money back. All risk-free. It didn't cost you a dime.
How does the settlement impact buyers in this situation?
The NAR?
Yeah.
Good question. In the offers I've been making, I have not seen it once come up.
Okay.
Maybe that's because a lot of sellers don't know about it, or I think it's mainly just they don't care.
Yeah.
Listen, at the end of the day, if a house is priced at $500,000 and my client has to pay me my 2.5%, that's 2.5% less they're going to offer.
Right.
It's all going to net out to be the same amount.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect first-time home buyers, those putting 3.5% down, more than anyone.
Right.
Because when you think about it, 3.5%, that's all they have.
Yeah.
They don't have an extra 2.5% down to put towards their agent.
Right.
So it's really going to affect those people the most. Yeah.
We got probably 10 minutes or so left in this.
Yeah.
I think this is great. We're having a really good, solid conversation. Stuff that I like to think of holding the podcast as like master classes for me, because there's a lot of stuff I don't know and there's a lot of stuff I want to learn. So again, I greatly appreciate you coming on. What do you see trending for the investors in the next 5 years? I don't know how much AI comes into play into what you guys do, or just even the trends of the market. Type of buyers, the people that you're dealing with. Do you see any significant things going in trending in a certain direction?
I think rates will come down, which will ultimately maybe open up the floor for more buyers, or they think that.
Yeah,
it could just be an excuse to stay on the sidelines.
Right.
I don't really see like AI replacing agents or lenders or insurance brokers, at least yet. At least with the information I'm provided. Sure. And I really do see the market continue to go up. I think more people are coming back or required to come back to the office space. So I think that office sector you could buy cheap now. Because it isn't there yet, but that might be an asset class where a lot of people start looking at again, or converting office spaces. We have a 10,000 square foot shared office building in Farmington, and it's 95% full.
That's
right, and
huge.
we got that at a really good price because we bought it 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean this building's not even that. This building, I mean, they just filled up a space upstairs. That's interesting.
So I think you're going to start to see the office sector come back a little bit. I think you're going to start to see, it's so crazy to say this, but what's really taking over is the pickleball industry. There's in like old malls being converted into different types of amusement or gaming type things, whether it's virtual VR, escape rooms. We just had a tenant in our Middletown building take over 7,000 square feet of old Social Security building, right? It's 7,000 square feet of Social Security office, run down, ugly. We had this escape room tenant come in from California, and they went out, they want the basement too.
Wow.
So I'm like, it's interesting to see, but I think you're going to start to, I think the office sector will come back a little bit.
One of your episodes, again, I can't remember what it was, but I hear this all the time, and I heard you say, it's tough to work on the business and in the business. What do you and Ryan do on the business to work on the business and then also in the business?
I'm definitely guilty of working too much in the business versus on the business. He is very focused on systems and optimization and the marketing end of things. So we do a lot of wholesaling. We do a lot of off-market sourcing for both ourselves and our clients, and that takes a lot of capital and time. So he kind of does all that, and I'm more investor relations, maybe some bigger picture stuff. I'm kind of taking the chains on the podcast that we're doing. So I think we complement each other well.
Sure.
He is having a second kid.
Oh, nice. Congrats, Ryan.
Yeah. So he's him and his wife Brenna are very busy.
Yeah.
And honestly, he doesn't enjoy going out and like shaking hands and doing all that. He's more of like a behind the scenes guy, and he's very good at it.
Yeah.
So I think both of us maybe need to take a little bit more step back and let go a little bit more, because it's like your baby.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you built this thing from the ground up. And it's hard to let go.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I like to know what people like to do or routines. I'm a big person on routines and principle and doing things. Is there anything that you do, like you make sure that you don't miss on? Because I think that as business people in sales and relationship building, it's important to make sure that we take care of us first and we are doing things to make sure we prioritize our mind, body, soul, if you will. Is there anything that you do?
Good question.
Yeah, that keeps you into that flow?
Yeah. I make my bed every morning.
Oh, I love that.
That's my task.
I love that.
Rachel, my wife, has given me that task, and I really enjoy it. It's
Yeah.
like the first accomplishment. I might have, and I'm sure a lot of people do that, but I think David Goggins really got, I don't know if you know who that is, but he got me on board on that. I try to go to the gym every day. Made it today.
There you go.
So, but I've tried every which way. I'm not an early morning person.
Same, bro. And if you have kids, it's impossible.
I know.
It's impossible.
But then it's like after working all day, it's even harder to get to the gym. So if you don't go in the morning, it doesn't get done. But generally speaking, my perfect morning, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to chug some water, I'm going to make my bed.
Yeah.
I'm then going to go to the gym. I come home. I'm a big dog guy. We have Max at home.
What kind of dog is Max?
He looks like a puppy German Shepherd.
Oh, okay.
But he's 50 pounds.
Sweet.
He'll be that size forever. We rescued him. He's got a little blue healer in him.
Yep.
So he just looks like a mid-sized German Shepherd.
Yeah, cool.
Hang out with him for a little bit, shower, change, and then I'll head to the office for like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I'm not in the office 7 a.m. guy. I don't like it. I don't think I will be.
Is there anything that you would like to implement or change or do differently?
Yes, always, right?
Yeah.
I think I need to be more organized, especially in my real estate agent business. I get phone calls, like 42 texts a day.
Sure.
Is like average, I'd say. Just different, whether it's lenders, appraisers, inspectors, clients, other brokers. Like the phone doesn't stop. So I wish and I need to do a better job of unplugging.
Yeah.
7, 8 o'clock at night, I'm answering texts.
Right.
And that's just because like I love it.
Yeah.
But I think you get burnt out really quickly.
For sure.
I recently went on, I recently went on my honeymoon to Barcelona and Mallorca. And Rachel was like, all right, now's the time. Let's, whatever you have to do, figure it out.
Yeah.
I was on it a little bit and she was respectful of it, but that the team, so having the team and having the systems, like laying out all the deals, this is what everything's going on, was really, really powerful, and really was able to kind of decompress a little bit. So, but building my systems, I'd say is what I need to work on.
Yeah. Okay. What's the future for you and Ryan and your team? What are you looking to build?
Yeah. So I think we're both looking to expand the multifamily investing. We deviated a little bit by going to the mixed use stuff and buying some more office building. I want to go back to multifamily investing. I would love to raise more capital. That's kind of my job and my task, is I want to network with more investors who want to be more passive. They're doctors, they're dentists, they're high W insurance agents. They're like, hey, listen, I love the idea of real estate. I just don't have the time. Right. I want to meet more people like that, and I want to help them achieve their goals. Right. Offer them pretty, high double-digit returns, and I'm able to grow that way too. So. I think build that side of the business would be really amazing. Maybe bring a couple more agents on the team. I'm sure insurance is no different. If you are like the insurance guy and you have other insurance people under you, that becomes passive in a way after you've trained them to do it. Right? They're bringing in new business and you're getting a piece of it. Brokerage is no different. Yeah. So I think my end goal, my 2025, 2026 goal, is actually become my own broker and make Skytree Investments the broker. Bring everything in-house.
Love it. Where can people find Skytree Investments, you, Ryan, and the podcast?
So SkytreeInvestments.com. On that website, you can find our podcast. You can learn more about us. You can see what we're investing in, what our investors are investing in. I'm at Mike Doherty Realtor on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. LinkedIn, I don't really go on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn. And then Sky's the Limit. We're on, for the podcast, we're on Apple, Spotify, and again, the website.
Do you guys do video or just the listening only?
Video and audio.
Yeah, awesome. Mike, this was great, man. It was informative for me. Looking forward to staying connected to you.
Yes,
and maybe just maybe play some golf, and you can show me the swing. I love playing a little golf. Not that great, but just again out there, forward and findable is the name
You're
of the game.
a busy guy though, but
yeah,
you play the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's right. So Mike, again, I appreciate it. This was great.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
man.
everything.
Yeah.